Welcome to Benny's Tech Review, and today we're going to be comparing the Scuf gaming controller with the PowerA controller versus a standard Microsoft wireless controller. So first off, I'm going to be unboxing a new Scuf hybrid controller for the Xbox 360. Go compare between the three different controllers and why I love the Scuf gaming controller so much. Okay, so when you first unbox Scuf gaming controller, it's going to come with a little card right here with an Allen key. If you get trigger stops, it will come with an Allen key that can adjust those trigger stops. So basically in this configuration that I got right here, as you can see, so I got the blue digital camo, I got the blacked out buttons with the blacked out center, I got the white long Scuf rounded bright aiming stick. So as you can see, it's rounded up top, which is supposedly going to give more accuracy for first-person shooters. So the left analog stick I left the same, as it is a concave shape to it. And so as I play a lot of games like Black Ops 2 and stuff like that, I wanted it wired. So the difference between wired and wireless is that you're going to have less latency or lag, however you want to put it in terms, with a wired controller, so you're going to get the fastest response possible. Now if you're a highly competitive gamer, that is where this edge can actually make a difference. If you're just an average casual player and you really don't care and you hate wires, then go with the wireless option. They do make this in a wireless option, so you're not stuck with just wires. Now what separates the Scuf controller from an ordinary controller is, as you see, I have these paddles on the back. So for those of you who are new to Scuf, basically these correspond to one of the face buttons. You can get these in 0 paddle configuration, so just your standard controller. You can get them in 2 paddle configuration, or you can get them in 4. Now keep in mind, if you get the Xbox 360 hybrid version, only the outside 2 are reprogrammable. Are remappable, I should say, as the lingo they use in their website. The inside 2 you pre-program, and that is what they are. So you're going to have to make up your mind when you order it. Now the thing that I like about Scuf is that you get a standard chat adapter. And I'll explain why this makes all the world of a difference, especially if you like to use wireless headsets. Also on this model, the configuration I did was I opted for trigger stops. Let's see, which are these guys right here. So basically what trigger stops do is that they make it so you don't have to, the trigger won't pull all the way in. Now this is key for first-person shooters, because I will show you on a Microsoft controller, standard controller, that you waste time because you pull, shoot, and then you would continue to pull, and so this would help you aim faster, shoot faster, especially with semi-auto weapons. And so the whole point is to minimize the amount of time so that you get the best advantage possible. So these also come with a set screw right here, at which point you would insert the Allen key that it comes with, and that will change the activation point. What I mean by that is, so right now I'm pressing, click. So I can make it so that I just have to barely touch it. Now for those of you who really like sensitive controllers and stuff like that, that may be an option you want to look into, and play around with that. So one feature that I got, I'll show you the first Scuf controller that I got. I actually bought one Scuf controller, and within an hour of playing it, and I ordered another one. It was just that good. So these grips right here are the Pro grips, and they make all the world of difference. So for someone like me who likes to play sometimes 4, 5, 6 hours at a time, your hands start to sweat and stuff like that, and so it actually really does maintain a good solid contact with the controller. So this is the first Scuf controller that I got. As you can see, I opted for the rounded head on the right aiming stick. Still have the 4 paddles. Didn't get the grips on this, didn't get the fancy colors. This was really a stripped down model that I chose to go for just to see if I liked the controller before I was going to invest any more money into one of these controllers. So the first thing that I noticed straight out of the box is the tension on the joystick. It feels a lot better than the standard Microsoft controller, whereas that will feel a little bit more floppy, if you will. Now, to show you the difference between, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but so this is your standard height on the controller, and that is your extended or long option. So I don't know if you guys can really tell the difference, but the long is just a tad bit higher, where if anybody's ever used like FPS Freaks or something like that, I found for myself that they were just a little bit too high and I didn't really like it, whereas the higher, so the long stick on the Scuf controller, I find is a lot more comfortable, and I would highly recommend getting that, especially if you're a first person shooter guy. Okay, so next up we have the PowerA tournament grade, as they call it, gaming controller. Now the features of this is that on the back there is a button where you can change it from red, blue, green, purple, and yellow, I believe. And so this is going to be your cheaper alternative. The Scuf controllers start out at $90 base model. The blue camo one you saw was about $235, whereas the standard black Scuf controller you saw was about $164 as configured. And so this guy is going to be your cheap tournament level, whatever you want to call it, controller. They're going to range between $40 to $60 on Amazon. Now, the one thing that I liked about this controller over the Scuf was these huge, oversized joysticks. These have extreme precision, I guess you would call it. It has a good tension. It's not going to flop around like your Microsoft controller, which I feel is just too loose. But I really do enjoy these oversized thumb pads. Now, some people will say, well, I can't put my FPS Freaks, I can't put a lot of attachments on. If you're that type of person that has to play with FPS Freaks or has to play with some sort of thumb pad grip, this is not the controller for you. Also, as I showed before on the Scuf controller, it's going to have a full standard chat adapter. This one only comes with a line in. So say you have one of the higher end Turtle Beach models for the 360 with the wireless chat adapter that goes in here that uses the 2 power adapters. You can't use that with this, and you actually have to hardwire it because it only has just the chat adapter line. So that's going to be the big difference between these two. Now you're probably wondering why he has 2 of the exact same controller, and I'll tell you why. I bought the first one originally at a store, and then it started to auto aim down by itself. Now whether the mechanism just died or whatever is going on inside this controller, seeing as it is a cheaper controller, it just would auto aim down. I wouldn't have to move the stick, so I'd have to counter it by constantly keeping pressure up. So I ordered a new one, and the first one lasted about 6 to 8 months, and then the second one lasted about 3 weeks. You know, it came with like a little carrying case. You can change out the grips and stuff, but I was very disappointed that I only got 3 weeks out of this controller that I had just bought. And so I said, you know what, I'm tired, I'm not going to go cheap. You know, I'm going to go with a controller that I did reviews on. And there were a lot of sponsored reviews, but there are a couple of unbiased, unsponsored reviews where they're not sponsored by them, they're not getting free stuff from them. I'm not sponsored by them. I will bash them if I hate them, but to be truly honest, Scuf so far has been the best controller I've ever used since acquiring an Xbox 360. And so last but not least, your standard Xbox controller. So this is the one that I got with the 360. It's the original controller, so as you can see I've got a chunk missing out of my joystick, but the tension levels in the standard Xbox 360 controller is it's a lot more loose, and as you can see I have that is all play. So that actually doesn't do anything when I'm playing video games. That's just play within the controller, or dead space, dead zone, whatever you like to call it. So what dead zone is that this doesn't actually move your aim point. You have to move it further before it actually will start to aim right. Whereas on the Scuf controllers, there's a big noticeable difference in the dead space that's on the joystick. So these will come with your standard wireless battery pack. I now choose to go wired. I'm tired of batteries, and I like to say that I can feel a difference in the latency, but I'm not a pro gamer. I'm not getting paid big bucks to play video games, but I do feel that the wired controller is better. Now, people will say, well, why would you spend the extra money to get it with trigger stops? So on your standard Microsoft controller, instead of on like your Scuf gaming controller or anything like that, whereas on the Scuf you fire, click, and it stops. On a standard Microsoft controller, see how I have that much more? So you're wasting that much more time, especially in rapid fire. When you try and rapid fire, you're going to notice a huge difference between the two different types of controllers. So whereas pull fire, pull fire, pull fire, on this one I'm going to pull fire and continue to pull. There's no trigger stops at all. The advantage to this, which you can take the trigger stops out, you can remove that screw, is that for like racing games and stuff like that, if you leave those trigger stops in, you're only going to get like half throttle. You're not going to get the full throttle. So if you do switch back and forth between racing games, that might deter you. I don't know how patient you are, but that is just one thing to consider. So I hope this comparison of multiple controllers was helpful. If you enjoy these videos, please like and subscribe. If you have comments or questions, feel free to leave it in the comments, drop me an email, anything like that, and I will try and get an updated video or answer your question. Thanks for watching.